This Tour Truck Tuesday, we're bringing you golf's most recent entry into the Korea Grand Slam. A huge congratulations from everyone here at Trotty Golf. A massive moment, not only for you, but for the game. This is Rory Mcilroy's What's in the Bag. Welcome back to the channel, What's in the Bag, joined by absolute legend of the game, Rory Mcilroy. Hello, mate.
Johnny, how you doing?
Good, good. TaylorMade photo shoot. There's a lot of testing going on, so we will say that before we get going.
Yep.
Now, I know we're testing here, but 2 5-woods.
Yes.
Do you know any story behind this?
Yeah,
Tipping looks similar.
Yeah, one has a little bit more loft than the other. They were coming, again, because of the CG, they've been coming out a little flatter.
Yeah.
So maybe having to go up a smidgen loft. And these are 2 bonded 5-woods as well. So these are, you know.
Which is going to be a tour part to start the year. And then we'll go from there. So slightly different face angles based on the loft, which again, you're particular on. Yeah,
I'm very particular on. I don't like adding a ton of loft to club heads because it makes it look left to me. So, but yeah, like when I first hit the 5-wood yesterday, it was coming out. It almost would be a good 4-wood if I ever needed a 4-wood.
So it's strong.
Yeah, it's strong. And not strong in loft, but just it just comes out. It just comes out really, really. You know, and I like to see my 5-wood maybe spin at like 3,800.
Yeah.
And that was coming out at like 32, 33.
So that is strong.
It was a strong, yeah.
A lot of the boys are going 7-woods and 9-woods. I never see you experiment with that. Why not? Just too much speed?
Too much speed. I hit my long irons pretty well. I carry this 4-iron that I've had.
Which is an old one,
Which is an old one, which I've had for a long time, which I love. And that acts like a 7-wood or a 9-wood for me. Okay. Like I don't have a 3-iron usually. And this 4, I'm able to do stuff with it. I can cut it up and hit it 225, 230, or I can turn it over and hit it 250 if I want to. Okay. So it's a pretty versatile club.
Do you, obviously this is the old P7, well, P760 and then P7CB here in the 3-iron.
Yeah.
This in just for testing purposes? Just for testing. Open championship maybe?
Testing purposes. I mean, I still use the 760 2-iron as well when I go back over to the UK. Okay. I love this. I love the sole on the 760s. Yeah. That's one thing, that little ski towards the leading edge I've always loved. And yeah, it's, you know, they've been great clubs to me over the years. And, you know, it's just whenever you get comfortable, it's like, think like fairway woods and long irons. They're like so particular, and once you get ones that you really like, it's really hard to get away from them. Yeah, there's definitely a cult following out there that loves that ski on that. I'm sure that'll be brought back into some other stuff. But you do have a P7CB sitting in there just as a backup. Now these are 7.0s, you've played them forever and a day. Yeah. Really heavy in the 5-wood, I noticed, 9X. Again, speed, right, I assume? Yeah, speed, just a little more control as well. Yeah. Yeah. 6.5 in the Project X. 6.5 and heavy swing weights, right? 6.5 wedge in the Project X in the lob wedge, but just 6.5s in the other wedges, but not. Yeah, obviously you don't swing wedges as fast as you do with the other irons. Yeah. Sometimes if I put a 7.0 on a wedge, it just feels a little too like there's not a ton of feel in it. It feels very bloody and very. But the wedge shaft in the lob wedge, I feel like just brings the flight down just a touch. Just has a little bit more kick in it, lower, so it brings the flight down. So noticing that even this is a rib. It's a rib, yeah. Everything is a rib. Everything's a rib. I went back to ribs after my visit at the Kingdom in March. Okay. I don't know why I felt like I feel like the rib just gives me more face awareness. So if I obviously need to get the rib right, but it just gives me more awareness of when the face is square, and it just sort of gives me an awareness throughout the swing of where the face is. And I used ribs for a long time. I went away from them, and like when I went to like adjustable woods, I went away from rib grips just because I just felt like it was easier. Yeah. But I've sort of gravitated back towards them. To be fair, mate, you're getting to the stage now. Some of the things you like, do you think the history of your golf game has led to this? Absolutely. So slightly open face on the driver. Yeah. Yep. And then ribs. Yeah, and ribs, slightly open face on the driver, ribs, and it's all going back to what you're familiar with. Yeah. And that was me. I was familiar with rib grips and always playing a driver that had pretty low loft, so it was always what I think is square probably looks open to most people. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's what I've always done, and that's what I'm familiar with, and that's what played the best golf with.
The thing I noticed with your clubs, you moved around a lot on swing weight on the driver over the years.
Yes.
Where are you at today with it?
So swing, I used to be like D7, D8 with driver, which was super heavy. I'm now down at like D3,
okay,
I think.
Yeah.
So I've moved a few swing weights down. Honestly, I figured out that I could swing it a little faster with just a bit of a lighter swing weight.
Okay, but on the smash factor, it was still...
And on the smash factor, it was still,
okay.
Yeah. And again, you sort of have to play around with it, but I figured like D3-ish is sort of my optimal for the driver, D2.5, D3, and I can swing it faster, but still have awareness of where the head is at the top. Sometimes if you get a swing weight that's too light, you get up to the top and you've no idea where the club is.
We did this with Tiger, and there's a few things that you're saying that tie into what he's saying on swing weights.
Yeah.
Lofts, a few years ago, you had a 10.5 all the way down.
Yeah.
Bit of a Jason Day influence. I know it was at Tory when it was happening. Did you find with more loft move down, you lost smash factor?
Yeah, I lost smash factor and I lost a little bit of control as well.
Okay.
But that was with the sim head. And that sim head had that really pronounced thing at the back that I always felt like, to me, made it look more closed than maybe it probably was.
Yeah.
So that was the origin of me getting like a higher lofted head and turning it way down.
It's not in here now, but your putter swing weight was same as your driver at one point at that D7. I don't even know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you'd played swing weights on putters that I've known you play. Everything from stuff that was you showed up with that was a unique one, not a TaylorMade putter, which was D3 through to like D7.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're landing on it now, or you just
like
leave
E1.
that? So you've gone heavier again.
I'm really heavy. Okay. Yeah, I'm really heavy with putter, and I like the feeling of the heavy putter and feeling the head because I love the feeling of it like almost swinging itself.
Okay.
So I think I think I'm nearly in the E's with the putter.
And then on these irons, use these now for a while, not change, don't look like changing. 6 down to 9, you go into a scoring wedge. What's the thinking on these? What's the story behind them? Are they copied from an old iron that you like?
No, they're just, I mean, they're very, very similar to the P730.
Okay.
There's not a ton of difference. The only thing for me is the different groove. I have the multi-groove.
Yeah.
Which is in the TW iron.
Yeah. More spin.
A little more spin, a little less flyers out of the rough, I find. But yeah, they're a beautiful head shape. I feel like there's not many ways to really iterate on a really traditional blade. And yeah, that's what again, going back to my youth, that's what I played growing up, and that's what I'm used to and what I'm familiar with, and that's what I'm comfortable playing.
It looks like you're just doubling up on the wedges here.
Yeah,
so this is freshies.
Yeah, just freshies.
Any stories?
So I'm playing around. So like I like to take a wedge and add a degree of loft to it to take the offset out of it.
Okay.
So I do that with a 58 and go to 59. But what I've done is I've got a couple of 60s and moved them to 61 just to see what it's like around the greens. Yeah, how it looks and how it, that couple extra degrees of loft, how that performs around the green.
Okay,
so
fantastic.
That's sort of, but yeah, I was just messing around with those and see how they go.
So you cap it all off with a TP5X right now. Is that the correct ball for you still?
Yeah, TP5X.
You've toyed around with both models.
Yeah, I think as well when I toyed around with a TP5, or not toyed around with it, I played with it for like over a year and I loved it. But it got to the point where in the wind I would just spin it a little too much, and then if I had a slight breeze into it, I'm having to hit a club or two more than most other guys just because of so much spin. So TP5X for me is so good in the wind. I started playing it at the start of last year, and again it's a very, very fast golf ball, but I think I need it launches. Nice thing about this 2020, I guess it's the 24 TP5X compared to the 19 that I was playing. It launches a touch lower, and it has the same spin. So like I launch it high and I spin it pretty high. So anything to get the launch angle a little lower and the spin a little lower, I love. And yeah, this ball's been I've used it now for 12 months and it's been great. It's been amazing, and obviously I've had pretty good success with it. And
people watching this, you've obviously had a journey to get to this point. We've talked about the history with back and the rib grips, a lot of knowledge on swing weights. We'll put videos in the description for that to explain it. What would you give as advice for folks out there wanting to get fit for golf clubs? What do they need to be aware of? How do they go about their club fitting?
Yeah, so I would say the one thing you have to be really aware of in club fitting is, well, you have to be self-reflective and you have to know your own patterns. Yeah. You have to know what are you trying to fit to. So for me, with the driver, my bad shot with the driver is left. So what do I fit to? I fit to a slightly open face that sort of goes away from what my miss is. Same thing with irons, same thing with wedges, same thing with everything. You have to be self-reflective in what your game is and what your misses are and really what you need. Okay, for me, what do I need? Okay, I hit the ball high and I spin it a lot. Okay, so what would help me? Something that spins a little less and launches a little less. So that's why, you know, the TP5X is good for me. Or, you know, I maybe turn my 5-wood a little bit too much. So I want to put some weight in the head so it counteracts that a little bit. So it's just knowing your game, knowing your patterns, knowing your mistakes, and fitting to clubs that you know will, to the best of their ability, neutralize whatever mistakes that you have in your game.
And I think the fact that he's played the same iron shafts forever, he's moved slightly on that wedge shaft, you've been in these wood shafts for a long time, grips for a long time, that shows you, right? Once you find something, don't get all over the map.
No, I don't. I'm definitely not a tinkerer. You know, if something comes along and is objectively better than what I have been using, it'll go straight in the bag. But I'm very, you know, once I have everything set, it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to go with for the foreseeable future, unless something is really off. And that's been the nice thing over the last couple of years. There hasn't been a ton of tinkering. Yeah. And it's paid off with, you know, 2 really, really good years.
Final question. Obviously, you can see here fresh wedges for you right now. Yeah. How often do you go freshies?
Lob wedge, I'll change like once a month. So probably once every 2 or 3 tournaments. The 54 and the 50 and the 46, I'll change a couple times a year maybe. Okay. Not as much. I mean, I use the 60 predominantly around the greens and out of the bunkers, so you want to keep that as fresh as possible. But the other stuff, obviously I hit them a lot in practice, but I'm not going to use them enough to wear the grooves out like the lob wedge. So yeah, a couple times a year. Okay, awesome. There you have it, guys. Everything you need to know about Rory Mcilroy's golf bag, you can get down in the comments. Rory, you've had a long couple of days. I really appreciate you giving us all this time. Pleasure. Fantastic what you do for the game of golf as well. None of us would be in this spot without players like Rory and how good he is with his time. So thank you. Thank you. Top man. Thank you. Cheers, mate.